This presentation will be an overview to eBay. My goal is to provide you with the tips that I have learned from successful buying and selling on eBay. I will not be surprised that just as many of you love Google for searching, that you will love eBay for the bargains being offered. Best way for me to describe eBay is that it is like a huge garage sale, and it features many items appealing to everybody. I am still awed by what is available and sold at very low prices on eBay. The eBay phenomenon is about 20 years old. It started in 1995 and is a multi-billion-dollar business. The part that really amazes me is that eBay sells nothing, eBay makes nothing, and eBay just provides a marketplace for buyers and sellers. And at any given time, you will find about 1 million sales a day occur on eBay. Now, the question you might ask is, how does eBay make money? Well, eBay receives a fee on each and every item that is sold. And in a typical day, that amounts to $70 million. At a nominal rate of approximately 13 to 18%, that comes out to $4 billion a quarter. In terms of the number of users, there's about 200 registered users in 30 countries. Now, why the growth of eBay? Well, it's two-sided. The first part is the buying side. It's fun, and there are terrific bargains to be had. And on any given time, you will find about 90 million items available. That's quite a large amount of items considering what's available in other typical stores that you may personally go in to shop. On the selling side, there's a huge market for items that you no longer need, and many people actually run a full-time or part-time business from their home or office. Now I'd like to show you some typical examples of items that are available on eBay. Some of them are, for example, quite unusual. In fact, there's a story going around that somebody decided that they can make some money by selling the space on their forehead by putting a tattoo on it, and that it's sold on eBay for $32,000. Now, if you're looking for something unusual, as I said, eBay has millions and millions of items, from the new and used, commonplace to hard to find, from teacups to automobiles, and everything in between. And I truly do mean everything in between. For example, what you're seeing here is a thumb drive, which is the proxy for electronics, cables, iPhones, printer supplies, etc. The baseball glove next represents sporting goods equipment. We could be talking golf clubs, football gear, etc. The middle icon representing the wedding dress is representative of clothing, shoes, etc. And then we have musical instruments next to that. And then the item in the frame, the football jersey, is a Eli Manning jersey. In particular, there's a little story that goes with that. My middle grandson is a very avid New York Giant football fan. And the last time when the Giants won the National Football League championship, Manning changed his jersey several times, and after the event, the jerseys went up for sale. My grandson's uncle decided to purchased that jersey for him as a souvenir that now hangs in his bedroom, and it cost him about $500–600. Now you notice I have a space right in here, and that's a very, very important area, and I'll show you what's going to be going in there next. That is for furniture. Now there's a big advantage for selling furniture on eBay. If you're moving, you have furniture, you want to sell it. Well, one of the things you can do on eBay, you could say local pickup only. That way you don't have to worry about crating the furniture. You don't have to worry about the cost of shipping the furniture. And by local pickup only, you probably, if you're in that area, you can go see it so you know what it truly looks like. Now, for those people that are techies, right, there are many, many techie items that are for sale. And some of them, for example, would be, we're looking at iPhone cases here, an iPhone. We could be talking about tablets, whether it be iPads, Kindles, etc. Chargers, other electronics, cables, and batteries, and for emergencies. A lot of people like to carry batteries for their cell phones, so that if they're running short on batteries and they're not in a place where they can charge it and they lose battery power, they have an emergency battery. We're talking about SD cards and SanDisks in the lower right-hand corner. These are all items that are available on eBay at great bargain prices. Now, when we talk about hardware and software requirements, I'm going to go there now. The first question that frequently comes up that I'll address is, do you need a high-tech computer to go and use eBay? And the answer is absolutely not. You can even use your tablet or cell phone. There's apps for that. Now, in terms of internet service providers, that's all you're going to need, because eBay is an internet service based operation, and it doesn't matter who your internet service provider is, they all work. In terms of speed, my recommendations are as follows. Dial-up is 50K, DSL is about 500 times faster at 25 megabits per second, and some cable systems are now offering 90 megabits per second. In fact, I know Bright House in Florida is even offering up to 150 megabits per second. My recommendation for those people that are using eBay would be to use at least DSL or cable light, which would be about 512 kbits per second. And the reason for that speed is because there's graphics, there's pictures that are involved, and therefore you might want to be able to download that information a little faster having DSL or cable light. Now, in terms of software requirements, there is really only two main requirements that you'll have to have. One is, because it's an internet-based system, you're going to need an internet service provider. And again, it really doesn't matter which one you're using. Any internet browser will work on going to eBay. And then there's another requirement. The second one, again, is email for correspondence. And it doesn't matter which email account you use, they'll all work. The reason that you need an email account to use eBay, if you're outbid, eBay will send you an email to tell you that you're outbid, that you want to up your bid. And if you win, eBay alerts you to pay and alerts the seller to send the item to you after you pay. Now, do I need an ID to use eBay? The answer simply is browsing is available to everybody. It is free. It's an internet site. However, if you're going to buy, you need an eBay ID. This requires extremely limited personal information. For example, what eBay wants to know is your name, address, and email address. And this is for the security of everybody. So you cannot bid as an anonymous person and not pay. Also, if you win, the seller will know where to send the item. Now, if you're selling on eBay, there's going to be an extra item of information that you're going to have to supply, and that's a credit card, because there will be some eBay fees that you're going to have to pay if your item sells. Now, that's a pretty much overview of buying, and now let me go into some of the details. That was typical generic. What are the typical buying questions that I encounter when I teach eBay? And this and the next two visuals will explain some of the concerns that many people have that are not eBay users, such as, what is a fair price for the items I want to buy? Are eBay is selling what you want to buy? Does eBay offer free help and tutorials? The answer to that is yes. There are excellent presentations available, and just by clicking help and the Learning Center, these presentations will be available to you. Now, in terms of buying fears, these are my top 5. These are the ones that I hear most often. I do not know the sellers. Can I trust them? Well, I have over 400 transactions to date, and I've never had a bad unresolved transaction from eBay. Next question that comes up is, how do I find honest sellers? eBay rates all of the sellers, and that information is always posted with every listing. And there are many, many sellers that have sold many, many more items than I have, and they've never had an unhappy customer when you look at the ratings. Now, how does eBay accomplish that? Does eBay monitor, rate, and review the sellers? The answer to that is yes. eBay has a system, it's called feedback score. eBay doesn't do that. You, as a buyer, will rate the seller. All eBay does is present the statistics to you. Now, when I buy on eBay, I like to use sellers that have a very high feedback score. Now, for example, if somebody had a 90% feedback score, you might say, oh, that's wonderful, right? They're 90%, right? I look at that as being very, very negative, because it says to me that 1 out of 10 person have been not satisfied with the product that they bought. So I always use a minimum of 98 to 99% as a guide. Now, the next item that comes up is product description may be fraudulent. What is their recourse? Is there any recourse? Well, there certainly is, and I'll discuss that on the next slide. It has happened to me that you can receive an item and the item doesn't work. And I've had that happen with some scan discs and some Sony thumb drives that didn't work. This biggest one is that a stranger has access to my credit card or bank account info. And I really love that. That is my favorite complaint to hear, because anyone that tells me that a stranger has access to their credit card and it bothers them, and that's the reason why they're very skeptical about using eBay, I'll bet you those same people go into restaurants all the time, give a waiter who doesn't know their credit card, and he runs off somewhere with it, and God knows what he's doing. Now, when we talk about the unfortunate case, which I have had very, very few of those happen, but it could. There are some problems, cheats, and deadbeats in any operation, and eBay has 5 main resources to resolve these problems. And the eBay solutions are: 1, there's a fraud team that constantly monitors all transactions on eBay 24/7. Then there's a moderated discussion group that eBay handles. Now that's between you, the sellers, and eBay, and everyone has a stake. What do I mean by that? If you're the buyer, you want to get the product that was advertised, and it should be as advertised. If you're the seller, you want to have good feedback score, because if you have a bad feedback score, right, then people will not be using you to buy your items. Now, eBay also is involved in this and has a stake, because if people were unhappy with the products and the way eBay treated them, then eBay wouldn't be as popular as it is. The third one is Square Trade in partnership with eBay, and they will help to resolve issues that you may have. Now, PayPal buyer protection is another one, and if you use a credit card, as PayPal usually does in terms of accepting payments from buyers, you have an additional last resort of the credit card company. Now, the buying window on eBay is well designed, in my opinion. It looks complicated at first, but it's easy to understand. Remember, if it was not easy to understand and use, eBay would not be as popular as it is. Are there good searching features available? Well, they're similar to Google, but to be honest, they're not quite as good. Now, learning the steps for buying on eBay are relatively easy and fast, and there's great prices to be had. For example, many people using cell phones find, or iPads find, that it's hard doing the typing on a small keyboard that comes up, and stylus pens are available that you could get in many stores for $4 or $5 a piece. I've gotten them on eBay for 10 of them for that price. If you have an iPhone or an Apple device that uses a lightning cable and you go into the store to buy it, it's going to cost you in the Apple store about $19. But on eBay, you can get OEMs for that lightning cable made by Belkin, good manufacturer, for $4 to $6. Now, registering for an eBay user ID is very, very simple. It's extremely easy to accomplish. Now, don't be shocked at what you see on the next page, and I'll walk you through it. It looks complicated at first, but it really is very, very simple. For example, you see a search bar here, and you could click that search bar, and you would be able to enter in this the name of what you're looking for, and there's also an advanced search, and I'll explain how this works. The advanced search is very, very important, and a lot of people overlook it. So, for example, okay, what happens here is you're seeing, when you fill this out, right, you would put in here the item that you're looking for. You can search or do the advanced search, and the bottom half of the screen represents items that you've looked for in the past, or specials that eBay has, such as on the right-hand side, free shipping. Those are features that eBay has, and they advertise for you, and you'll get very familiar with that very, very fast and rapidly. Now, as I said, a good first step that's guaranteed to save you money is to use the advanced search feature. The reason this is important is that if you click, and I'll show it to you in the next view graph, the box that says completed listing, eBay then shows you the summary of all items listed in the prior 30 days. That includes green items that are sales, and in red items that didn't sell. Why is this so important to you if you're a buyer? Well, if you're buying, it essentially tells you what price to expect to pay. In addition, it provides to you information on the item demand, competition, and availability. So if you were buying an item and you outbid, you may say, well, the advanced search told me about what I should be paying for it. If it's too high and there's many of these items available, I'll just bid again and hopefully I'll get it for that price or less. And this is what you would see for the advanced search screen. Let me get the mouse arrow. When you click advanced search, okay, you're going to see in here, right, the description of what you're looking for. So I typed in, say, 8 gig flash drives, and then here's the completed listings, and I check completed listing, and then I go and I click the search box, right? By doing those 3 clicks, this is what will happen, okay? I enter the information, I click the completed listing, hit the search box, and the result is a screen of this type. Now, this is very interesting what you see in here, because you see in here for the right under where it says 8 gig flash drives, you see a number 4,132. That's telling me how many of these 8 gigabyte flash drives are currently were available in the last 30 days. So that's quite a number of flash drives that are available in the last 30 days. In addition, you're seeing on the right-hand side, some of the numbers are in red and some of the numbers are in green. Now, the red numbers are the items that didn't sell. The green numbers are the ones that did sell. So you get a pretty good idea of what price you could expect to pay for these flash drives. Now, in terms of the types of auctions that are available on eBay, there are 3 main types. The first one is the no reserve auction, and it's typically the one that you're familiar with, where the highest bidder is the winner. The difference between this and the one that you may be familiar with is that if there's an auctioneer, he'll say, there's a high bidder in the end. Does anybody in the back of the room, does anyone want to bid higher? Going once, going twice, sold. eBay is a little different. It runs on a clock. So from the time that you list your item for sale, if say you had it for 5 days, exactly the same time of the day, 5 days from then, that's when it ends, and whoever is the high bidder is the winner. Now, the next auction that you will see is the reserve auction, and that is the auction where if you have an expensive item, you could set a minimum price. So to win, your bid must exceed the seller's minimum, which is unknown to you. Now, the last type is the buy it now, and that's for buyers that want an item or need it sooner. I use that for many, many items where I'm happy with the seller's price. For example, just the other day, the doorbell system for my house stopped working. It's a wireless system, and it turned out that the battery in the bell unit outside, which is wireless, had worn out. And fortunately, I had a spare. I put the spare battery in, but I wanted to order some more. I went on eBay and I found 4 Duracell batteries for under $5, and I went ahead and I bought them, and in about a week or so I'll have my spares. I didn't want to wait for an auction. I was happy with the price, and so I bought it. Now, if you're the winner of an auction, right, in terms of which is best for you, it depends how fast you need it and which process you want to go through. How do you pay for it? By far and away, the most popular method is PayPal. It's free to buy. There is no cost. The seller pays a small fee for using eBay, and I'll explain that when I do the selling part of the presentation. But suffice to say that the biggest reason that it's so popular is that PayPal will accept credit and debit cards for you. If you didn't have a store, how would you be able to go ahead and sell your items on eBay? What do you do with the person's credit card if you don't have a business? There are other options that are very, very rare to be used by eBay people. So for example, if we're talking electronic checks and money orders and personal checks, hardly any eBayers accept that. And I'll discuss that a little more during the selling portion. Now, what advice can I give you in terms of security when you're buying on eBay? Never log in at a public venue. That's a dangerous process to do. Always check HTTPS, the S meaning that you are going to a secure site or at a secure site. Use strong passwords, and I'll give you some examples of passwords that are strong. Now, when you look at these passwords here, the first one, MFC, WBO, 2967, INY, IWMO, 8363, TAWW, your reaction must be, how am I going to remember a password like that? Well, if you can't remember that, I think you're in big trouble, because now I'll tell you what it stands for. The first one says, my first child was born on 2967 in New York. Next one says, I was married on 8363 to a wonderful wife. My favorite is the next one, which says CIA B number 3135. Now, when I was working, believe it or not, I was an undercover CIA agent. And when I tell that to my classes, they look at me and say, you don't look much like a spy. I said, well, if I told you what I was doing, I'd have to kill you. But CIA 3135 is my badge number. If you believe that, I have a bridge to sell to you in Brooklyn. Now, the reason it's very easy for me to remember, I was brought up in Brooklyn, in fact, Brighton Beach. And I lived on 3135 Coney Island Avenue from the time I was a young boy till I got married. So these are passwords that can be rather complex and easy to remember. Notice I try to use uppercase, lowercase, numbers, etc., to make the passwords more complex and difficult for people to, hack in. Now, what is the best buying advice that I like to give people? And that is use common sense. And by that, here are some examples. Read and reread item description, and particularly the small print. The story I like to tell there is about my daughter-in-law who bought a cradle for dolls for our two young granddaughters, and they were about $30 to $35 in the stores, and she saw one for $15. She jumped at it and bought it on eBay. And when it came, she knew she was in trouble because it was supposed to be about 18 to 20 inches long, and it came in this little 9-inch box, and it was a cradle for a dollhouse. Again, use eBay's rating system. The feedback score is very, very important. And understand that usually there's shipping and handling costs involved, and most frequently that's paid by the buyer. Now, if you have questions for the seller, ask the questions before you bid, not after. It is so, so important to do it that way, and I cannot overemphasize the importance of that. The final buying tips I have, before I move on to selling, is, as I said, always use the advanced search before you bid. It'll give you an idea how much you should pay for an item and other things like the availability of it. Now, if you're new to eBay, start the learning process by placing bids on a small, inexpensive item. For example, the stylus pens I talked about, SD card readers you could get for under $1, and cables can be had at a very, very reasonable price. Now, in terms of selling, there are people just like you that are selling many items on eBay, and you could be one of them. It's amazing what you can sell on eBay. And for example, my son-in-law has a My son-in-law has a boat, and it's a fishing boat. It's a very, very low to the water, and a wave drenched his BlackBerry torch and our daughter's iPhone. He also asked me to find one for him on eBay, which I did for about $225. Then he said, could I sell his water damaged phone? And to my surprise, it sold for $195, less the eBay fee, so he netted $67, and it cost him less than $60 net for a new BlackBerry phone. Now, before selling on eBay, there are some preliminary considerations that you should think about. Your home is probably a treasure chest of items that are in your garage, your attic, for items that you no longer need, and you can sell them on eBay quite easily. Now, to do this, you're going to have to answer some questions. For example, is there a market for your items? I have friends that, ask me to sell things, and sometimes it's really junky items that they have, and it's very, very limited markup for these used items that I would consider junk. What is a fair price for selling an item? Are you asking too much money? And do I understand how to list an item and the fees involved? Well, is selling easy? Well, learning how to sell means that you have to do a little bit of work to research and create descriptions, and I'll go into that, and to find or take good photographs. When you post an item on eBay, right, it's a three-step process. You select the category, you create your listing, and then you review your listing before submittal. And then if your item sells, you want to safely package and ship your item. And last but not least, how do I collect my money for the item that I sold? Now, is selling as easy as buying? No. Selling is an art and a science, and the best teacher is experience. And I'll go into the three biggest pitfalls that I have found when I teach. People are selling what people are trying to sell what other people are not buying. They're asking or expecting too much money, and they're not using photos or realistic descriptions. Remember, you're not holding this item in your hand. You can't see it in the store. So you really want to have good photos. My most important advice I can give you is to start with low-priced items. This will aid in the familiarity with the selling process, and it will quickly establish a feedback score for you without you making a mistake and say, I put an expensive item up for sale. Now, I talked about listing, the tips to sell. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Use good photographs. It is so, so important. And speaking of words, right, describe your item accurately. That will save you lots of aggravation, that when the people get it, if it's a used item, describe it as it is, right? It is very, very important. Shipping options. If it's appreciable size, UPS and FedEx is the most popular way that people ship. If it's small, it's the post office. Payment options, again, it's PayPal. PayPal also has live help that's available for you, and they're very, very helpful. Now, as a must first step, just like we talked before about the advanced search, right? The green is the sales, the red is the non-sales. Tells you a little different when you're the seller. It tells you what price you can expect to get for this item. And it provides information on the item demand, the competition and availability, and may give you clues as to how you should list your item. For example, when we talk the types of auctions, again, it's the three types. The no reserve, typically where the highest bidder wins. The reserve auction, where the buyer must exceed the set minimum. However, let's say, for example, I was selling a camera and I wanted $200 for it, and the highest bidder was $190. At the end of the auction, it's my choice whether I want to sell it to him for the $190, or I said I don't have to sell it. You didn't reach the $200. In addition, looking at the buy it now option, essentially what it says, again, it's for buyers that want the item faster, and I am happy with receiving the fixed price that I set. Which is best for you? Again, it depends. In writing the descriptions for your item, you will have to choose a title and a description. You'll have to upload your photos. It's an absolute necessity. You can use attention grabbers such as low starting dollars, original cost, no reserve. Low cost always attracts buyers. They believe no one else will bid, and often it starts a bidding war because people always want to win. And in terms of pricing strategy, you can always use a higher shipping and handling fee or a reserve to protect yourself a little bit from cost. I'll now address the writing of a description and associated photos. How do I do this? My favorite way is cut and paste. And I always use a word processor for editing. And I put the words and photos on my desktop because it makes it easy to find when I want to fill out, transfer, doing a cut and paste of the information into eBay. Now here's an example. I would cut and paste from the manufacturer's site. And say, for example, I was selling 8 gigabyte thumb drives. Well, if I went to the manufacturer's site, this is what I would typically find. I have it all made out for me. I might want to shorten it, but I don't have to lay it out and redo it. Now, in terms of photos, again, go into the manufacturer's site, right? I can find pictures of a thumb drive or flash drive, no problem at all. If it's furniture, this happens to be a real example of furniture that our daughter had a bed, a race car bed that went through 3 children. This was on the manufacturer's site. It's an interesting story in that she said local pickup only. Again, it was furniture. And the winner was from Brighton. Well, that rang a bell with me. I said, Brighton Beach, that's Brooklyn. Well, it wasn't Brighton Beach. It was Brighton, England. My daughter was in a panic. I told her to contact the person, and the person told her that they had an apartment in Kissimmee by the theme parks. They use it in the winter, and they rent it the rest of the year, and they will pick it up, and everything works smooth. Now, in terms of photographs, you don't need expensive equipment to take pictures. A point-and-shoot camera will work quite well. So, for example, these are some pictures that I personally have taken. Chargers, cables, stylus pens, iPhones, batteries, SanDisks, again, other devices of that ilk, and Life magazine that someone brought in one of my classes, and I took the picture. We just put it on a white piece of carb backing board for it. And if you look closely at the first 5 pictures, the 3 on the top and the next 2, you'll notice that the expensive background being used is my living room carpeting. Now, what do I do with these photos? A gallery photo is very, very important. Would you buy an item without seeing the item? A photo sure helps. Always use gallery photos. Turns out the first 12 are free, and extra ones are only 15 cents. The tip I have here is that use a square image, crop rather than leave extra space, so you wind up with a bigger photograph. Okay, now this is how the gallery would look. The reason, what you see here, again, let me see if I get this arrow to work. Nope, arrow didn't work. There are 4,015 items. If you look about an inch under where the eBay logo is, it'll say how many items were found for these flash drives. You will see a quick description, title line for each item, and it'll also give you some tips as to how your listing is going to look and what you want to do with it. Now, when you're done with this, how do I collect money? Well, PayPal is the quickest and most desirable way that almost all eBayers collect their money on PayPal. The reason it is probably so popular is that the fees are reasonable. They charge you 2%, 2.9% plus 30 cents on every item that sells and what you collect. So considering what companies or stores that have credit cards get charged, this is a reasonable fee. Now, the biggest advantage is that eBay will collect from your credit card the fee, and then they notify the seller within a time delay of about 10 or 15 seconds that the item is paid for. If you're the seller, you really don't care how the buyer paid for it. The only thing you're interested in is that the seller paid. Now, I promised to tell you a little bit about the other ones and why very few eBayers will use it. For one, if you accept electronic checks, money orders, or personal checks, you have a problem that there's a delay. You're not going to know whether you really sold the item until you get the electronic check or personal check, etc. Right? So this delay is not good for you, and it's also not good for the buyer who wants to get his item right away. He doesn't want to have a delay while you're deciding that his check is good or, to be processed. In addition, if he happens to give you a check or money order that's no good, it's very likely that your bank is going to charge you a fee. So you don't really want to get involved in that. Now, when you sell an item, the next thing is shipping cost. Now, after packing your item, right, the easiest way to figure out what it's going to cost to ship is you can use eBay's calculator, where the buyer would then go ahead and put in his zip code and how much, you tell him how much the item weighs, and he does that. But some buyers don't want to do that when they're in the bidding process. So a good alternative to this is to consider using a fixed price. Now, with FedEx and UPS, you get about $100 worth of insurance. I think it's a little less with the post office. And when you go to these sites, it's relatively easy there for you to calculate the cost, including shipping options. The tip is, if you choose the fixed shipping and handling fee, to use the zip code that is furthest from you. So, for example, I'm in Florida, and I would use zip code 98101, where the little star is that happens to represent Seattle, Washington. Now, there are other things that you could do with eBay. You can do bundling. Bundles, remember, are usually worth a little less. They're harder to sell because they may include items that the buyer may have or does not want as part of the package. But it's very useful in selling larger quantities of similar items. And I'm going to show you in the next slide Thomas the Train items that I sold for our daughter. But the tip is, never bundle unrelated items. For example, if you were moving, you wouldn't bundle golf clubs and china. Okay? And here's the pictures of the Thomas the Train items. There's all kinds of tank cars. There's accessories that are included, such as a roundhouse, a covered bridge, a turntable, and we sold these items in the neighborhood of $500–600. In addition, you may remember the story of Casey Anthony, and I sold the newspapers, local newspapers in Orlando, for several days, especially after the verdict was announced in that trial as a bundle on eBay, and I got about $17 for the bundle. Now, what is my best selling advice? Again, use common sense. Sell what buyers want and always seek a reasonable price. And remember, if you're selling heirlooms, they may have very, very little sentimental value to another buyer. But the bottom line really is start selling an easy to ship, inexpensive item. This will give you quick feedback scores. Okay. Now I will answer any questions that you have. And if you have other questions you think of in the future, you could contact me at gbigel@gmail.com. Are there any questions?
Gary, I'm not seeing any questions. I am seeing one comment from Jolynn Bowler. I'd like to tell a tale of warning. Never go around eBay to buy or sell. I helped a woman set up a sale of beautiful emerald diamond tennis bracelet on eBay a few years ago. I warned her a number of times only to deal with eBay and PayPal to finish a transaction. She was talked into going outside eBay. She sold a bracelet for $5,000 to a person in the UK. She received a check and sent the bracelet before the check had cleared. It bounced. She had no recourse in the matter. Be smart. Take advantage of eBay's security and experience.
Huey, I have to absolutely agree with a comment. I would say that probably 99.9% of the people that are selling on eBay use PayPal, and they use it for that reason specifically, that you don't have to get involved in how the people are paying for it. There is a delay, as I say, of maybe 10 or 15 seconds from the time that the person pays for the item and eBay notifies you that the money is in your account. In addition, you don't have any of the hassles of going outside of eBay. It really is a very, very fast and easy system, and PayPal works terrific. So I have to agree completely with that.
Okay, Gary, we only have about 2 minutes left. Gilbert says, asks, how do you register with eBay if you're a seller?
Okay, it is exactly the same process as doing the buying. When you go to log into eBay, on the very, very first screen, it'll say log in, where if you have an eBay ID, you would log in with it. If not, it says register. And again, they will just ask you for your name, your address, okay, when you're buying, and the email address. Those 3 pieces of information to buy. And if you're a seller, right, they'll ask you for the one extra piece of information, and that is a credit card, so if there are some fees involved. That's it, and you'll be registered for eBay and set to go.
Okay, Alan says he's interested in this presentation for his user group. Can he contact you? But before you answer that, I did want to say that this is being recorded and will be available on the APCUG videos YouTube channel, and we will have it posted on our website as soon as we can. Gary, are you available to do this remotely for user groups as well?
Well, the best thing is for him to contact me and see if we can work out a common schedule, but I certainly can do it.
All right, and then the final question is Alberta asks, find shipping costs the hardest to figure out at home and not going to UPS and so on. Suggestions there?
Okay, of the 3 sites that I referenced, the UPS, FedEx, and the post office, if I had to rate it, I think the easiest of the websites to use, and you can calculate shipping costs, is FedEx. I would say probably UPS is next, and maybe the post office. They're close. But FedEx is probably the easiest one to use, and it's not that difficult to do.